Hi, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Foothill Paint Fabrication. Well, today we're right back on Project Ruby. I'm keeping my foot on the gas, just trying to get this car ready to go up north to be stripped, dipped. So today we are going to be lifting the body off the chassis. More specifically, we're going to just raise the body in there and roll the chassis out from underneath it. And then we're going to try to position the body cart that was loaned to me by a friend up underneath there and figure out what we need to do to attach the cart to the body so we can roll it around safely, roll it up into a trailer and all that kind of stuff. So I was able to get all the body bolts loose except one. They have trapped nuts up inside, the bracing, and you can't get to them. And one bolt started coming out, then it stopped, and the nut started spinning. I couldn't do anything about it. So took a Sawzall to the head, cut it off. We'll deal with that later. But it is ready to come off as far as I know. I got everything else cut loose. So I think we're really ready to go. I'm going to be doing this by myself today. Well, Jake's here, but he'll just be hanging around, make sure no rabbits bother me while I'm up there trying to lift that thing in the air. So let's just jump in, start raising this thing up carefully, and I think I've got a pretty good game plan, and we're just going to try to get it up in the air and not drop the thing. So let's get to it. Okay, here's the setup. I had to actually raise the car up a little bit and put on jack stands to get the engine hoist underneath that sits so low that it won't go underneath. So we're gonna hook a strap or something from the body on each side over the boom there on the engine hoist and start raising the body up there. In the back, here's Dave's extra tall jack stand. So we're gonna raise it up. That's as low as they go, so which should be okay because we gotta get it up higher than the rear wheels. So I think that's going to work out okay. And those are really stable. So it'd be a lot better than a few other times I've done this kind of thing. So we're going to raise up the front, and on the back, we're going to raise it up with the floor jack. Just inch it up and crib it up as we go. I think I'm going to be able to lift it by where the gas tank bracing is. So that shouldn't be that big a deal. I don't think this body weighs that much all in all, really. So it's stripped down to really nothing's left into it. So I'm going to go ahead and do what I can to just slowly get this thing up in the air. I've got that one bolt I told you about. Let me show you what's going on with that one. So here's the one bolt that would not cooperate, but I got the head cut off, so that'll just lift straight up. You can see, I don't know if you guys can see right here, that's where the trapped nut is up in there. And what I did was I actually drilled a hole in that, just big enough to put the tube from the PB Blaster spray bottle so I could soak that bolt and nut up in there pretty good. I did both sides. And it worked on one side, but it didn't work on the other. It just kept getting stiffer and stiffer as I went down, as you get the crud that's on the top of those threads start getting jammed up in the nut. And then that trapped nut is only held in with like little sheet metal cage, and it just finally broke loose. So cut the head off. It'll come up. We're gonna have to figure out how to get that bolt out later, but it has to be repaired on both sides. All the trapped nuts, I need to make sure that they're sound and gonna work when it's time to put the car back together. So we'll revisit that another time. Here is the bracing. So right here is the bracing for the gas tank on both sides. So I think I can lay like 2x6 across there, and I'm going to do it closer to the back where it's a little the pinch welds are. So I think it should be strong enough to lift the car up safely without distorting anything. So let's just get to it. I'm going to figure out that strap or chain or something for the front for that engine hoist first. Okay, I got a strap. This strap's rated at 1,000 pounds, so I've got it hooked on the pinch weld on each side. Got a little piece of foam that was up here protecting it so it doesn't get cut. This body can't weigh 2,000 pounds, so I know that half of the body weight is not more than 1,000 pounds. So we're just going to go ahead and raise it up. I've got some blocks here. What I'm going to do is just raise it up and keep putting blocks in there just for safety. I still have the emergency brake cable to get out, but I need to get some space so I can get that out of there, so I can watch it right here and see it pulling tight. So I'm going to have to get that up just a little bit, put some pressure on it, so when I try to release it from the inside, it tries to pull itself out, because it is not wanting to cooperate. So we'll just jam a board in here just for safety's sake. between that body mount right there. And then let's see if I can get that loose real quick, and that should be about the only thing holding this car to the chassis. Oh, the heater hoses. I got to cut those, but let me get that real quick, and then we'll start raising this thing up in the air. Okay, got that stuff loose. Raise this up. That's clear. Just going to stick a board in every once in a while, just in case something tries to fall. It doesn't go very far. Okay, that's nowhere near high enough, but we're at a pretty good angle, so I think I'm going to lower it down a little bit on that and start raising the back up, see how we're doing back there. All right. See what happens here. Nice and slow. It's a little shaky. I'll throw a block back here too. Get some 4x4s in there just in case. All right. Worst it can do is fall 1 inch, so that's pretty good. Okay guys, went to kind of plan B on the back, raising the back up. I walked past the rotisserie 2 or 3 times to get some blocks, and I just stopped and think, well, how come I'm not using that to lift it? So I just have it half. I don't have, you know, obviously one in the front. The cherry picker's doing the front. But I just got a block in there to keep it from tipping forward. Got it bolted up to where it would bolt up normally if I was using the rotisserie. And jacked it up a little bit. Looks like everything's good. It's up off the blocks off the frame. So I'm just gonna go ahead and raise it up. I'll keep putting blocks between the frame and the body just in case, and then we'll start raising the front again here. So let me get this thing up in the air. We are probably about that far from having it high enough to roll the chassis out. So let's keep going. We've got quite a bit of stroke left here, so I think we're going to be okay. Looks pretty good. Let me get this pin out of the way. Get a little bit higher, and we'll stick the pin in here just in case. Okay, now let's move back to the front and start raising that. We're looking pretty good. Okay, switched over to jack stands up on some blocks here. It looks like it's going to work. I've got a piece of 2x2 perforated going across. Make sure this jack stands on this block real nice here. It's just about the right size. So I got it right where the pinch weld is, so it won't damage the body at all. I'll raise it up, and then I'll slowly raise the jack stand each time. So if we do have a problem, it won't drop very far. I've actually done this before by putting just rims on the back, so there wasn't much to clear. But I don't have any bare rims laying around, so we'll do it this way. We're just about there. Okay, we are an inch high enough. Well, actually, we count the 2x2. We are an inch too low, so we got to go up a little higher in the front. Doesn't look like the jack drifted at all, so that's good. Well, the rotisserie seems to be working pretty good. Seems all pretty stable, at least back here it does, so that's good. I think that's pretty good right there. I'm gonna go up a little bit higher. We got a hole right here coming up so I can put the pin in it. Just like that. All right, let's get that front in the air and roll this chassis out of here. Jake, come. It's not safe for you right there. Come on. Go over here and lay down. Go lay down. That's good. Down. Good boy. I don't want to lose the GTO and you at the same time. $27.5. The tallest part of the chassis is, yikes, 29. We're gonna have to go a little higher. Gonna run out of lift on the hoist too. It's in all the way. It's pulling the car forward too. A little spooky. Let's see if we can swap this out. Slide this under. This is a nerve-wracking part right before you get to where you want to be. Something like that, maybe. Actually, these jacks are actually raising it now. Work pretty easy. Pretty solid, feels pretty good. What did I say, 29 inches? We're at 31 right there. Let's see how it feels. I'll take a little weight off this thing. 2x2 flexed a little. Let's give it a good little shake here. So that's probably more stable than any one I've ever done before. They've all been pretty sketchy. All right, I'm gonna double check the back and then we're gonna get this engine hoist out of the way. All right, I think it's in gear. Yep, it's in gear. I can't tell if it's in reverse or... Yeah, reach in here a little bit. Ouch. Ouch. All right, it's out of gear. All right. Oh, we got... I think that's about it. Okay, we're looking good. First time this chassis has been off this body in its whole life. Piece of cake. All right, success. Well, phase one of getting the body off. Now we got to get it on the cart. Jake, get out of there. All right. Chassis looks good. I don't see any major damage to it anywhere, except right here. When I bought this car, it had these big old ugly ladder bars on it. It was the thing back then. So I just kind of torched them off and left the kind of booger welds and all the other stuff they left behind. But other than that, it looks pretty nice. Rusty, dirty, but pretty nice. So this is precarious to say the least. Jake keeps trying to lay underneath it. I don't know, he's got a death wish, I guess. But we're looking pretty good. The rotisserie did a great job holding it up just fine, no issues. So I I'm going to get this all mess cleaned up, and we'll get that body cart underneath here and start taking some measurements and figure out how to attach that body cart to the body and then lower it down on there. Okay, that's a good working height right there. We can kind of figure out how to make some sort of brackets or something to attach that cart to the body, and then we lower it down all the way, roll this thing around a little bit. Okay guys, I got the front kind of figured out. I'll use one of the body mounts. I got to finish welding that, but a bolt will go right up through that square tubing attached to the body. In the back, I think we're gonna have to make like a little L piece to reach back to that other one. Unfortunately, that's right where I broke that bolt, or that bolt seized up and I cut the head off. So may not be bolted right there, but it'd be bolted on 3 corners, which should be, fine. Gravity will hold it down. So, but it's getting hot out here, and I think I'm gonna go jump in the pool, and I'm supposed to go fishing tomorrow, so I got to get the boat out and get it ready. We'll come back to this in a couple of days. Okay guys, it's a day later. It's in the morning. Had a good day fishing, not a great day, but it was good. So I picked up some bolts to bolt that tube to the body, so they're going to be extra long to go up through the length of that tube. It just makes it simpler. And back here where I said I was just going to let it sit on, by, just gravity holding it down, I'm not willing to do that, and I have to get this frozen bolt out sooner or later. So I think what I'm going to do is drill out the spot welds right here on the inner fender well, make a couple of cuts, try to lift that up, and that should get me to that channel where that nut is, that trap nut is. So I'm going to jump on that real quick. I'll bring you back once I get that thing exposed and see if we can't get some heat on that nut and some penetrant, and hopefully be able to grab a hold of that nut and get that bolt the rest of the way out. All right, that was about an hour detour, but got it done. The nut was okay. I just ran a tap through it, cleaned up the threads, wire wheeled it a little bit, put a little grease inside of it, got it back in there, and bent the trap back around at the cage. So I bent that down. Like I said, I'm not going to weld this up. I'll worry about that when it comes back from being stripped. I'm just going to go ahead and bend this piece of sheet metal back down loosely. I flattened it out a little bit. It was pretty janked up from being underneath this car all that time. But we'll just bend that down and just leave it like that. As long as it's not sticking up, it's going to cut somebody. I'll tell you what, getting this undercoating off right here, that stuff was pretty thick. I mean, that was, geez, probably 1/8 inch thick in some spots. So hopefully the guy that dips it can get all this goop out of here. I certainly hope so. All right, let's get making some brackets to get this back part of the cart attached to the body. Okay, here's the setup I came up with. So I got a piece of 12-inch 2x2, and I welded a little piece of pipe on there just as a standoff to clear all the sheet metal hanging down, and then it's bolted to the body mount bolt location. And then all we have to do is get this tacked on here. Unfortunately, my welder won't reach all the way out here. We're pretty far away from the shop. So what I'm gonna do is I got it scribed. I'll take it back in the shop, line up the scribes, tack it, bring it back out, double check everything, and then take it back in and weld it up. Now the cart is a little more narrow than the body bolt location, so these actually splay out a little bit. So I gotta make sure I get that right as well. And it's out there, cantilevered out there pretty far, so I'll probably put a gusset in here. It's got to ride in a trailer, like 10-hour drive to Oregon, so, and then 10 hours back. So I don't want that bouncing and bending possibly. Not that it would, but I've got scrap laying around. I'll just throw a little gusset in there. Let me get this tacked up, double check everything, get it welded up, and get this cart lowered down, bolted on. Okay, let's lower this thing down onto the cart. Got it bolted up. It's kind of hanging in the air with it. Well, that side went well. Well, it feels like it rolls real easy. Let me get blocking her here so it doesn't try to roll down the hill. So I get the back off, and let's roll it around over here and see what happens. Okay, let's see if this thing will move. I feel like it took way too long to get this job done, but whoa, that rolls pretty easy. When you're doing kind of sketchy stuff, it's better to take it slow. Man, that rolls real easy. Actually too easy. It's trying to roll back downhill. Oh yeah. That's gonna work out real nice. Whoa, Nelly. Block of wood underneath these wheels. These casters don't have brakes. There we go. All right. Okay, we got the chassis out from underneath the body. No catastrophes, didn't drop anything, didn't smash my hands, nothing. So it worked out really good, and we got the body onto the cart. It does sit a little bit higher in the front than the back, but not a huge deal. It's just to roll it in and out of a trailer, roll it around here a little bit while we finish stripping it down, getting it prepped, go to Oregon to be stripped, drop it in the tank. So here's how the back worked out. It threw a gusset in there, so it's all good. And somebody's coming over here to inspect. Huh? Yes, I know, everything looks good, right? So it's gonna work out great. I just threw that gusset in there just in case. And then the front, you guys saw before, I just kind of threw some tubing together and bolted it on, so it seems balanced pretty good. And it does roll good, roll real easy, so maybe too easy. Might have to have some help to keep it from rolling it down, end up backing into the new fence. But all in all, pretty happy, glad to get this part done. Okay guys, that pretty much wraps up this video on Project Ruby. We were able to get her up in the air, get the chassis rolled out from underneath her. Not too much trouble getting that done. It's a little sketchy, you gotta take it slow. You know, I work by myself most of the time, and just like you guys, so you gotta really, take it easy and, be smart about it, especially when you're lifting a body that high in the air. They get a little wobbly up there, so you have to be extra careful, but it all worked out. Got Ruby back down onto that body cart. Seems to be working out great, so that's gonna be awesome. Be able to push that thing around, get it cleaned up, and ready, to go to the paint stripper. So thanks for joining me here at Foothill Paint and Fabrication. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Mash that bell and drop me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. We'll see you on the next one.